Herschel Walker's journey is unlike any other.
Gotta be Walker. Touchdown. Walker. Touchdown.
From high school phenom to Heisman Trophy winner.
It's now a great pleasure to announce the winner of the 1982 Heisman Memorial Trophy from the University of Georgia, Herschel Walker.
He dominated every level he touched, even conquering both the USFL and NFL with record-breaking stats. But he didn't stop there. He even had a foray into the brutal world of MMA.
Look at this ground and pound, Herschel Walker!
Proving his athletic prowess extended beyond the gridiron. This begs the question, how does he stack up against the all-time football greats? Growing up in Wrightsville, Georgia, young Herschel wasn't initially drawn to sports. Instead, he was all about stories from the books he read and even wrote poetry. But being mostly inactive led him to gain some extra weight. Plus, he had a stuttering problem, which made things even tougher, especially since he was one of the few black kids at his school and often got picked on. But at 12, Walker decided to forge his own path. He embarked on an intense, self-imposed workout regimen, which included running with a tire around the school track and squeezing in push-ups and sit-ups during TV commercials. Starting from scratch, he gradually built up to an astounding 2,000 push-ups and sit-ups each day, alongside sprinting unfathomable distances. Despite all this, Walker didn't even play organized sports until 7th grade. He started with basketball, then moved on to track and field in 8th grade, and finally football in 9th. Throughout high school, he did his intense bodyweight workouts every day, making him one of the fastest and strongest kids in Georgia. But it was football where Walker truly shone. After racking up almost 3,000 yards in his first 3 years, his senior season was legendary. In 1979, he led his high school team to their first state championship with a mind-blowing 3,167 rushing yards. Not only was he a football phenom, but he also dominated in track and field, winning state championships in multiple events and earning the title of the National High School Scholar Athlete of the Year. Of course, colleges all over the country wanted Herschel on their team, flooding Wrightsville with recruiters. But he decided to stay close to his roots with the University of Georgia Bulldogs. His arrival in Athens was huge. In his first year, he had an incredible season, rushing for 1,616 yards and scoring 15 touchdowns. The Bulldogs ended the season undefeated, clinching the national title.
The game is over. The crowd.
Walker's freshman year was nothing short of phenomenal. Despite going up against seasoned upperclassmen, he put on a show, earning him a coveted third-place finish in the Heisman voting. Some thought he should have won, but back then, giving the Heisman to a freshman seemed crazy to voters. That said, in his sophomore year in 1982, Walker continued to shine, leading Georgia to a 10-2 record while racking up a career-best 1,891 rushing yards and scoring 18 touchdowns. Despite his stellar performance, he finished second in the Heisman voting to Marcus Allen. Then came his junior year, where Walker rushed for 1,752 yards and 16 scores, guiding the Bulldogs to an undefeated regular season with an 11-0 record. They faced Penn State in the Sugar Bowl for the national title, but unfortunately fell short.
Penn State wins it 27-23.
However, it was a fulfilling year for Walker as he finally secured the coveted Heisman Trophy. In Walker's mere 3 years at the University of Georgia, he completely transformed the collegiate record books, achieving unanimous All-American honors each season, setting a whopping 11 NCAA records, 16 SEC records, and a staggering 41 UGA records. But the accolades don't tell the whole story. By the end of his UGA career, Walker had crossed the goal line 52 times and amassed a whopping 5,259 rushing yards, making him the college running back with the most yards gained in a 3-year career and the third leading rusher in NCAA history. His 3 seasons at UGA marked one of the school's most successful periods, clinching 3 consecutive conference titles and boasting a remarkable record of 33 wins and only 3 losses. By the time Walker left Georgia, he epitomized the ideal NFL running back. Standing at 6'1" and a rock-solid 226 pounds, he resembled a linebacker but moved with the speed and explosiveness of a track star. Facing him was a terrifying proposition. A unique combination of power and quickness made him a nightmare matchup for any tackler. After his junior season, Walker decided to skip his final year of college eligibility and enter professional football. While most collegiate standouts aimed for NFL stardom, Walker took a different route, opting for the USFL due to its flexibility for underclassmen like him. So, Walker made his way to the New Jersey Generals of the USFL, owned at the time by Donald Trump, and wasted no time asserting his dominance. In his rookie season in 1983, he averaged over 100 rushing yards per game and clinched the rushing title. The following year, he saw a slight dip in performance but still managed to rack up impressive numbers. However, it was his third season that truly stood out as his greatest professional football achievement. In just 18 games, Walker obliterated the USFL's single-season rushing record, amassing a jaw-dropping 2,411 yards and earning himself league MVP. His performance was spectacular. However, with the USFL's future shrouded in doubt, the Dallas Cowboys saw a chance to snatch a generational talent. To secure his rights in case the USFL folded, the Cowboys took a gamble and used a fifth-round draft pick in 1985. Their gamble paid off when the USFL indeed shut down soon after. And in 1986, at the age of 24, Walker signed with Dallas, donning jersey number 34 and joining forces with fellow Heisman Trophy winner Tony Dorsett in the backfield. However, tensions between Dorsett and Walker quickly emerged. Walker's increased role in the offense meant fewer carries for Dorsett, a veteran used to being the focal point. This growing tension disrupted the team's chemistry, and even with the duo's combined talent, the Cowboys ended the season with a disappointing 7-9 record. Nonetheless, Walker had a solid rookie NFL season, rushing for 737 yards and 12 touchdowns, and catching 76 passes for 837 yards and 2 more scores. As the '87 season ended, Walker emerged as the Cowboys' primary back. He delivered impressive stats, rushing for 891 yards and catching passes for 715 yards and 8 TDs. His stellar performance earned him his first Pro Bowl and a second-team All-Pro. However, despite Walker's excellence, the Cowboys could only muster a 7-8 record in the strike-shortened season. After the season, Dorsett sought a way out and was eventually traded to the Denver Broncos.
Tony Dorsett officially became a Denver Bronco at 8 a.m.
In 1988, Dallas struggled even more, stumbling to a dismal 3-13 record. Although the team struggled, Walker had a standout year, rushing for a career-high 1,514 yards, scoring 5 TDs, and adding 53 receptions for 505 yards and 2 more scores, earning another Pro Bowl and second-team All-Pro. As the 1989 season began, it became evident that the Cowboys were no longer the powerhouse they once were. With a new head coach and 5 consecutive losses to start the season, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones decided to shake things up. In what would become known as the Herschel Walker trade, Walker was sent to Minnesota in exchange for 5 Vikings players and 6 future draft picks.
Walker was traded to the Vikings for 5 players and as many as 7 draft choices.
Walker's arrival in Minnesota was greatly anticipated, with many viewing him as the missing piece for a Super Bowl run. Just 4 days after the trade, he made his Vikings debut against the Green Bay Packers, dazzling the crowd with 148 rushing yards on 18 carries. It was a stellar performance, marking the first 100-plus yard rushing game for a Viking in 2 years. Throughout the season, Walker continued to lead Minnesota in rushing, finishing with 669 yards and 5 touchdowns. Combining his stats from both Dallas and Minnesota that year, Walker totaled 915 rushing yards with 7 rushing touchdowns, along with 423 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. However, the Walker plan failed to materialize in 1990 as the Vikings stumbled to a 6-10 record. In 1991, the team saw a slight improvement, finishing 8-8, with Walker contributing 1,029 total yards and 10 scores. But by the end of the '91 season, it was evident that the Cowboys had reaped greater benefits from the Walker trade. They utilized the picks to draft elite players like Emmitt Smith and Darren Woodson, kickstarting one of the most successful eras in Cowboys history. After the '91 season, Walker was released by the Vikings. However, the NFL world was surprised to learn that Walker had made the 1992 U.S. Olympic Bobsled team, showcasing his versatile athleticism.
When I first joined, I didn't think about the Olympics. I just thought about making a team. And after I made a team, that's when I said, I'm going to go to the Olympics. I'm not going to waste my time just making a team.
In spite of high hopes, Walker and his partner, driver Brian Scheimer, failed to medal in the games, and upon returning from the Olympics, Walker signed a 2-year free agent deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. Interestingly, the Eagles too saw Walker as the final piece needed for a championship run. In his debut season in Philly, Walker proved his worth, rushing for 1,070 yards and 8 touchdowns, along with 38 receptions for 278 receiving yards and 2 scores. The Eagles made it to the divisional round but were eliminated by Walker's former team, the Cowboys. In the 1993 season, Walker contributed 1,356 combined yards and 4 touchdowns to the Eagles' 8-8 record. The following season, Walker added 1,028 combined yards and 7 TDs. However, after the 1994 season, the Eagles signed free agent running back Ricky Watters, making Walker surplus to requirements. Subsequently, Walker signed with the New York Giants for the '95 season, but only gained 360 yards from scrimmage and 1 touchdown. He was released by the Giants after that season and rejoined his former team, the Cowboys. With his prime years behind him, Walker's playing time decreased significantly in the 96 and 97 seasons. He accumulated only 103 rushing yards, 238 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns combined over his final 2 seasons before retiring after the 97 season. Herschel Walker had an impressive career in football. While he's not in the Hall of Fame, he's not far off from deserving the honor. One reason he may not be inducted is that the Hall of Fame doesn't consider USFL stats. However, if they did, he'd likely make it in. In his legendary NFL career, scoring 84 touchdowns across his 12 seasons, he was a versatile threat, racking up 61 rushing touchdowns, 21 receiving, and even adding 2 scores on kickoff returns. He amassed a staggering amount of all-purpose yards, too, 8,225, rushing, 4,859 receiving, and a whopping 5,084 from kickoff returns, for a combined total of 18,168, placing him as the NFL's second highest all-time leader in total yards when he retired. But it gets even more impressive. If you factor in his USFL rushing stats, Walker's total skyrockets to 13,787, putting him squarely in the top 10 all-time NFL rushers, if the leagues were combined. And across both leagues, his combined yards reach a staggering 25,283, potentially making him the NFL's undisputed all-purpose yards leader. Walker wasn't just a football star, he was a versatile athlete. He tried his hand at various endeavors, even representing the U.S. in bobsledding. However, his most surprising move was stepping into the mixed martial arts scene, where he won his first 2 professional fights in the Strikeforce ring.
He is the winner by way of technical knockout in his professional debut, Herschel Walker.
Despite his success, he eventually retired from MMA, citing a lack of willing opponents. Yet Walker's interests extended beyond sports. He dabbled in politics, including a 2022 U.S. Senate run in Georgia, which he narrowly lost. His diverse talents proved he was a master of many trades, but it was on the football field where he truly excelled. Now let me know if you think Herschel Walker lived up to the hype, or was his NFL legacy tarnished by playing in the USFL? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Play Action for more.